What's up, everybody? The one and only Astro Baby here. Before I get started, I want to give special shout out to Anita Brown and Trevor Aguilar. Thank you both so very much for your donations. It is being used for the cause. Trust me when I say. And speaking of the cause, thank all of you guys who have signed up to astroboobaby.net. Of course, you guys are enjoying the family atmosphere, the love and support, but I don't know what everybody else waiting for. Hey, we keep putting it out there. You're missing out. You're missing out. Come and join us. I'm not going to beat a dead horse with that one, but I know that we're going to continue to grow, learn, and question together. I'm adding features, coming up with new ideas. There's some technical things going on, but we're tweaking those, and we're going to definitely make it more interactive so that everyone can actually have a co-creation in this space on astroboobaby.net and change the world one heart at a time. And we are doing just that. Now, this particular video is more along the lines of what typically comes along with those of us who push beyond the borders that have been given to us, programmed within us from our birth up until wherever we are now. Now, when we talk about astral projection and out-of-body experiences and being able to perceive and interact with elements beyond the five senses, we're going to either get you're delusional, you're wacko, you're crazy, you're out of touch with reality, it's the work of Satan and all this stuff. Now, I know how frustrating it may be for some of us who are just taking this journey. I've heard it all, so I'm numb to it, and it doesn't bother me one way or the other, because as we will find out as we continue to grow in our journey in this regard, we're going to find more and more that you're really sane when we're called crazy, if that makes sense. In other words, I would much rather be looked at as someone who's crazy and out of touch with reality than someone who is quote unquote normal, or quote unquote someone who falls within the set parameters of what someone else has set in place for us. We all have free will. This is supposed to be a free will planet, but we have been giving the illusion of free will. Most of us are not operating under free will. We're not. I would much rather be where I am, someone who has gone beyond the illusion, who has gone behind the scenes, so to speak, and has a clear idea of how this stuff works. And we all should feel the same. Think about all of the men and women who were labeled as wacko, nutjobs, crazy, who has evolved society. When you look at the contributions that they brought to the world, their legacy. Can you imagine what our brother who created the telephone got when he said, oh, I'm going to create a device we could physically communicate with anyone in the world, or literally communicate with anyone in the world? What was said about our brothers and sisters who knew that the world was round? There are so many stories like this. The thing we must keep in mind is that when it comes down to perception and beliefs, most of the time it's going to be based on one's personal experience. along with our ability to rhyme, reason, and the level to which our DNA, which is somewhat like an antenna, the level of which our DNA double helix is activated. And that's really getting into the more complicated and technical side of it. But there are many elements that come into play that shapes our perception and our worldview. And given that so many of us are still working within paradigms that have been prepackaged and put before us, this goes for our beliefs, our education, our economic situation, our political view. And if we are not willing to push beyond those, or to even question what has been given to us, guess what? We stay back in our little comfortable boxes and look at those of us who dare to dream bigger, to question, to learn and grow, and express their truth beyond those borders, and call them crazy, nut jobs, wackos, out of touch with reality. Many of us who are creators, who are artists, are often labeled eccentric and, out of touch with reality and delusional. But guess what? If we were not those things, how could we create something that hadn't existed before? Not in this timeline anyway. I'm about to go off on a whole nother area, but those of us who are creators, who are inventors, those of us who bring new ideas, those of us who bring thought-provoking conversations to the table, we could not do these things if we did not question, and if we did not have a level of insight or a level of mind processing that is beyond the norm. We couldn't do it. I don't care what anyone says. We could not make that happen. I often say that everyone has their own truth and we are entitled to that. But when we are so far outside of the box, which I am, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I'm not. So don't think for 1 second that being outside of the box is a lonely place anymore. Because, believe it or not, we are fastly, those of us who think outside of the box, we are fastly becoming more in numbers. And those of us who are comfortable with the status quo are uncomfortable with that. We are threatened by that. And the best way that those of us who don't like change, or those of us who resist change or resist being challenged in where we are, what's the first thing we do? We lash out, we call names, we scoff off, we use resources, if we have them, to block, to deny. We have internet trolling, people just spamming your videos with nothing of substance to say as to why they don't agree with your position. Or you're just talking a bunch of BS. Oh, you're just out to make money. You're delusional. And I'm just repeating what has been posted to my videos thus far. And when we look at those who say these things, if you look at their channels, they never have a video. They never show their face. But we're the crazy and delusional ones, those of us who are brave enough to speak our truth, to express our truth, and have pretty good reasons behind why we see and feel the way we do. I had a former co-worker who used to work at a insane asylum. She's very young, beautiful sister, and she basically said that she resigned from the place because she began to realize that those people were not really crazy. And this is what I've been saying for years. People who have been uh, labeled and outcasted as schizophrenic and, ADD, they have all kind of names for people who simply have antennas to pick up what most of us still can't. And because they are truly in the minority, and they have been told that they're crazy. Can you imagine constantly hearing voices and seeing things and able to pick up things and see the future and see things that rarely no one around you can see? And you can't shut it off because some of us are just open vessels. We're like sponges. And then you live in a society that tells you you're a nut job, you're a wacko. And after a while, dealing with all of that, people crack under those circumstances. And then what do? We lock them away and drug them up. That's a whole nother conversation within itself. This whole wanting to drug those of us who have mental processing that's different from the norm, which the norm has pretty much been stagnant for hundreds of years. For those of us who can see and are having experiences beyond the norm. And the strange irony to me is that some of us who judge others who have these kinds of experiences are usually embracing a belief system where, for instance, there were men who allegedly gotten a message from an angel or a message from God, or who was taken to heaven and was shown things, astral projection. I can tie all these things, these biblical and these religious stories, to everything that we're talking about now. And the rhetorical question is and should be, oh, so God stopped speaking to us in those ways thousands of years ago? I mean, when those of us come forth and share our personal experiences in this regard, we're looked at as out of touch with reality or crazy, but at the same time, we believe words on a book or text that has been allegedly written thousands of years ago from people that we've never met and really truly can't prove ever existed. What sense does it make to believe in a book whose origin and the text we can't honestly prove, believe in that, but doubt and ridicule and ostracize someone that you see every day who's talking really along the same lines, who's sharing some of the same kind of visions and revelations and experiences? Again, it comes back down to the programming, what we have been taught to accept as the norm, or what is acceptable versus not acceptable. So I'm saying all these things to you guys to let you know that if you would like to share your truth with someone, feel it out a little bit. Don't just put yourself out there, because everyone is not ready for it. Everyone is not going to get it. Do not worry about what people think or are going to think about your truth. Be confident, own your truth, be one with your authentic self, love yourself immeasurably, and project it outwards. And one heart at a time, we will gradually get to a point where we will respect one another's truth, regardless as to how far-fetched we think it may be. And that's it. I'm running out of time. You are loved beyond measure, family, and happy travels.